Gladiators, welcome back. What's it like to be rich? What's it like to be famous? What's it like to be good looking? What's it like to be popular? What's it like to share the stage with the top people around the world and have multiple companies around the world? And without further ado, I want to introduce my amazing guest today, John Lee. Welcome.
Darius, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Welcome to the arena.
It's incredible here. What a view.
Thank you so much. The reason we call our company Arena is because we feel life is like an arena. The more people you serve, the more you succeed, the more money you earn. Now, you've done extremely well for your young age, and I respect you so much. I really value you. I came to your training course. I learned so much, and thank you again. I'm just going to make this 1 hour worthwhile. We have millions of viewers. So I'm just going to do a fireside chat with you, ask you about your upbringing, because I know you were brought up in Lancashire. Please tell me more. Were your parents rich upbringing? Were they entrepreneurs?
Well, Darius, I grew up in very humble beginnings. And again, thank you for having me on the show. And I love the whole energy and walking into the office and just seeing everyone so chill. And that's when you know you're running a great organization. You just feel the energy in the room when you walk in. So for me, I started off as a dishwasher in my mum's Chinese takeaway. My parents were not rich, but we also weren't poor. We were kind of like working class. And so for me, I learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I guess a lot of people ask, like, how do you get that hustle? And I just see my parents working so hard in what they do. And I guess a lot of that sort of rubbed on me when I first did in entrepreneurship.
Because you still work hard.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
It's the main ingredients. Because people say you can work, what did they say, smart and not hard?
You have to work smart hard.
And hard, exactly.
Yes.
You work
and harder.
You're
smart harder.
Right. Yes. So I know that your strength is in the digital world right now. How did you get into that? So you were in Lancashire, you work in your mum's restaurant business, mum and dad's restaurant business. How did you get into digital? What interested you?
Well, actually, before that, it was real estate. So I got into real estate, but the way I was able to find real estate, because everyone would go to estate agents and start asking for deals, I thought, where do people hang out? They hang out online. And back then, going back 20 years, Google kind of just started getting off the ground. You had Netscape and all those, show my age now, not that young. But I see that where the attention is, that's where you need to go. And so I thought to myself, well, if I can figure this digital game out, search engines now, anything you type in, it tells you exactly what people are looking for. So, well, if people type in sell my house fast, sell my house quick, maybe I can find those people instead of having to go and ask estate agents, because I would do it manually. That's called working hard.
Yes.
And then I started using digital, where instead of me going to have to knock on the doors, everybody else is knocking on my door. So that's when I really knew the power and scale of digital, and how I really started to discover, wow, by using online processes, you're now able to start scaling much faster.
One of the things is that, how do you teach yourself that? Like you're sitting in a restaurant, like you said, you're washing dishes and you think there's an opportunity in this. How did you teach yourself about the internet? Was it coding? What was it where did you go, especially at the beginning of the internet? Even now, if somebody wants to learn, they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
20 years back must have been so much harder.
So I started off as an animator, and I always wanted to learn more things. And I'm just naturally a curious person. I want to learn new things. I don't want to get stuck on one thing I know. That's why when you asked me before, you want to get to the next level, you have to do something completely different. And so it's learning those next levels. I look at it as, how books have chapters.
Yes.
We have different chapters in our life.
Yes.
So when I first started, my first chapter was, of course, animator. So that's my first career that I went into.
Does this mean you can draw?
No, I can't draw.
You can't really?
No,
all on the computer?
I can animate. Wow. I can't draw.
Okay.
So that's another thing as well. So my misconception is, do I have to be a good drawer to become an animator? Mm-hmm. And for years I thought, I'm never going to get a job as an animator until I discovered digital 3D animation. I thought, well, I can animate. There's a difference between drawing and animation. A huge difference.
Tell me.
Well, drawing is being able to draw something. Like if I draw you now, I can sketch you out. I mean, I'm not bad, but I can sketch your head, your shoulders, your neck, and the way you're sat, the way you're putting the weight. But animation is bringing something to life.
Yes.
There's a really good book. You should read this actually. It's got nothing to do with business, but it's the business of Disney. And it's called The Illusion of Life. And it talks about how do you bring an inanimate object. I'm sure you've watched some of the Pixar movies.
Of course. I was going to ask you about Pixar, actually.
Yeah, I just sit there watching. I'm crying to pixels. Like, why am I crying to
The
pixels?
way
Because
they mix your emotions.
correct.
Take you on a journey of.
It's the animation. You bring something, and that's how I kind of see business. I see business as bringing something with an inception idea, and then bringing that to life. And that's why you got to enjoy the process. You don't want to enjoy the end destination of how many millions you make, but actually, who have you become to get there? How many chapters have you had in your life?
Yes.
If you just have one chapter, that's no good.
No.
Right? You need to have multiple ones, multiple
I have
stories.
lots of, we've got to jump from subject to subject here, but I have lots of clients of mine who very rich and they're not happy because they didn't enjoy the process of their chapters. They were just so intensely trying to get rich. When they got to the destination, they're just habitually miserable.
Same. I know a lot of people in that way because they're not living, they're just existing. They're just doing enough to get by. Like, honestly, and I'm not saying people should do this. Like, sometimes I work 16, 17, 18, 19 hours a day, right? You could probably tell from
Because you have a
sometimes
family, so I want to come to that later,
Yeah.
how you manage it or how you cope with it.
But I'm so passionate about it, Darius. I just want to wake up and I want to
Achieve.
I want to do something different. I want to know that today I'm going to improve. I'm going to do something. And people watching this are probably going to criticize me, say, "Oh, well, that's not good for your health." And I absolutely agree. You got to get sleep, and you got to catch those times that you got to practice balance. And well, I don't believe in balance either. And I'll explain why in a second. Because look, when you truly enjoy something, are you really working?
No.
No.
Job stands for just
I'm here with you having a conversation. Is this work or is I enjoy this?
Yes.
That's why I fly around the world. Like this is how many interviews and events.
But you don't sleep well.
Oh, I do sleep like a baby.
Do you sleep?
I sleep like a baby.
For long periods of time, or just a few hours?
I can.
And do you eat well?
Yeah. I could be better.
Because you're traveling, do you exercise regularly? So that you need a little bit of. I tell you why. Because I'm 56.
Yeah.
And I'm suffering for lack of balance in my youth. Sometimes you can take youth for granted, right?
Well, it's like one of these things. I believe that you have to make time. Like, for example, when I'm at home, I always think about, okay, how can I merge this stuff in, right? We talk about balance.
Yes.
But we talk about life, we talk about business, or in other words, in our case, it's passion. So if we actually entwine that together, doesn't that become, instead of work-life balance, it becomes work-life integration?
Absolutely.
So let me give an example. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't work. Of course they should. Like when I'm at home, I'll go for at least a 3-mile walk. But in that walk, you do calls, you want to do meetings.
You're engaged all the time.
Engaged, I'm doing breath work as I'm walking as well. So when I speak to people like, yeah, so make sure you make that call on Zoom. So, you got to integrate things in and as when you can.
Is that when you create?
Yes.
When you're on your own, walk in the park, fresh air.
Yeah. You got to be out. You got to put yourself in different destinations. I always put myself in different destinations so I can get inspired by the environment. And that's why being locked in one place at one time, sometimes it's not inspiring. Like you do have to have that break. I mean, she's looking at me now. It's like, John, we got to move to this location, this location. Let's just, because sometimes it's about momentum. Sometimes we're doing things over and over and over again, and we just get stuck in that period. And for me, I'm always thinking about what's that spark that's going to create that avalanche. That's what I want.
So you want to break through. You want to create new
every
things.
day.
It's not about the money, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, money's important. Of course it is.
Yeah, but
right?
it's not firstly about the money. Maybe it used to be at first.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
To make sure you do well, things are taken care of, family are taken care of.
Well, it's the hierarchy of needs, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to take care of that base.
And then your cup's full, then you can concentrate on other things.
Correct. Absolutely
amazing.
right. Yeah.
Amazing. So animation, then properties. So through animation, you got used to digital computers, and then you kind of research to see how people are searching for properties. And then what happened?
So it's funny. I've told this story before. So whilst working in the job, there's always that transition period, isn't there? Like, should I quit my job? Should I do this on the side? Maybe I can do a bit of both at the same time. So I would commute to work every single day. And at the time, I don't even remember. Do you remember DSLA?
Yes, I do.
Like before we had cable, before we had the internet. You had these
Yes.
little plugs that you. I'm
Yes.
showing my age now.
Yes, I do.
But the Vodafone ones, you
Yes,
put it
yes,
into the
yes,
side
yes,
of your
yes, I do.
computer,
Oh my
and it connects
God.
to the internet. It goes. Do-do-do-do-do.
I remember that, and the lights were
Yeah,
flashing.
and it flashes.
Yeah, I
And when it's
remember
red,
that.
you're losing
Correct,
connection.
Correct.
So my commute into central London, I used to live a place just outside of Guildford.
So was that a big move for you from Manchester to Guildford?
Yeah.
You were by yourself. Decided to leave home.
Well, I mean, as soon as I graduated from university, I got a job in like London.
Okay. Your animation job was in
correct.
London. I see.
Yeah. So all that entire experience like made me very, very independent.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was working in a job, I was like, can I do real estate at the same time? So at the time they used different Linux machines, so they didn't have Google. So I had to do all this stuff. Oh, you remember Linux machines?
Do you remember mainframes?
Yeah, it's just so complicated. It's like I gotta put this command in, that command in just to get a browser open.
Yes.
So you know what I did? I took a screen grab of my work, and I would save it as a screensaver, and I would have like my little. So at that time we would use something called Rightmove to find deals, and I still do nowadays. And I would put it just underneath this. When people would walk around, they couldn't see me looking at deals because I was scouting the internet. For below market $1,000. I was like praying, please, director, do not walk behind me and ask me to move something on the screen because it was a screen grab.
You said that. My 15-year-old son was showing me how he does that with school. He's got this little screenshot.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, you guys are smart.
Yeah. Well,
Have you had your IQ tested?
No.
But you're smart.
I found it very hard to study at school.
But you're street smart. You're inquisitive.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I did really bad at school, right? So I didn't get good grades. But
because you and I are dyslexic, right?
yes, we are. I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, I know. And you're good with numbers.
No, terrible with
really.
numbers.
I'm really good with
terrible
numbers.
with numbers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you go into animation.
I can see movement. I understand movement. I understand inertia. I understand how things work. Like I can. That's why it's about learning the process first.
Yes.
Like people always want to jump in at the deep end. And I think sometimes it's good to do that. But actually, if you can understand the process from A to Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right down to Z, then you can reverse engineer the process. Now, of course, entrepreneurs, we always say the definition of an entrepreneur is jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down, which is also true. So you have to combine both mentalities in the same place. So we have to build it as we go, document, process, reverse engineer.
Really interesting. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and he said the way you play the game is the way you live life. So he created this game, and it was stockbroking, and it had mini-sized ropes, and somebody was shouting, $2, $2, and everybody was getting engaged. And I had a bunch of ropes and some money in my hand, and I stood measuring how the whole thing was working, and the game finished. And he goes, that's how you live life. I said, no, it isn't. I'm an entrepreneur. Then I actually realized often I don't jump in first because I've got to know the rules first before I jump in.
Yeah.
And sometimes you miss it.
Of course.
You miss the trick. You
the
miss
amount
the
of
game.
deals that I've missed, the amount of below market value deals, amount of investment deals. Because, I mean, you should see my WhatsApp, the amount of decks I get on a daily basis. Literally, we've got this. It's like, I'm just kicking myself. It's like Bitcoin. Someone said to me, oh, there's this currency thing. You should invest in this currency.
$200.
Right.
I could have had it at $200.
No, this was like going way back, like cents.
cents.
You know, the times where people were literally trading Bitcoin for pizzas. It was that, like, they weren't really worth anything. I remember being in a David Lloyd gym and someone kept talking about it. It's like, I said, you've been scammed. But it's because I wasn't educated.
I didn't know. I thought there was an opportunity, but I didn't know how to buy one. So I didn't look deep enough.
Right.
Also, this is interesting. I felt there was cloud technology was going to be a thing of the future. Again, I didn't invest time looking how to do it. Because I was thinking an owner of a company doesn't have time to keep looking at different people's emails. Wouldn't it be good if we centralize it? If the laptop disappears, you don't lose everything. The cloud is really, really good. Didn't do anything about it.
Right. That's why ideas are 10 and 10.
Yeah.
It's the execution. So when I'm investing in a company, actually, most of the time, it's not about what it is.
It's the person.
If it is, it's great. But it's not even the person. It's the whole team. Like, do they have a good CEO, CTO? Do they have engineers? What background are they from? How many exits have they done? What have they? Like, I look at all this stuff, right? Because I want to. Because the one question I'm asking is this: can this team execute? And if the answer is no, I'm not investing.
And when you're again, we're going to go back. We're going to go to that transition time from that to properties. Anyway,
we can tell entrepreneurs, right?
I haven't forgotten.
ADHD's like that.
Somewhere along the way, after an hour, it'll all come together, right? There'll be a message behind all this.
Yes.
So Let's go back and we'll go forward again. So tell me about the transition period, right? You were saying that you were in animation. There was a moment you were thinking, what should I do? You were hesitant.
Yeah. So
I am listening.
Yeah.
It's active listening.
So I was listening to podcasts. I remember listening to this guy called Dolph Daruse, and he was like a PhD, tried to get a job. He got all this education, couldn't get a job. One day he sells a property and makes 36,000 on it. Same day he gets offered a job for 36,000. So he's like, oh, why should
year's work?
Well, exactly. I'm thinking, why would I work for a whole year if I can learn this stuff and then make my whole year's income in a couple of months, and then I can focus on things that I really want to do.
Did you have cash or you had to borrow?
No.
Mortgage?
Borrow, OPN, other people's money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Tell me. You went to different investors. How did you raise the money to buy the first property?
So there's two things. There's two ways to do it. One is you have to understand how financing works. This is why, again, like I would attend seminars. I paid this, I went to my Uncle Chi and asked him for £350.
Yes.
Right? And he said, what for? I said, I'm going to attend this course that's going to teach me how to get rich from real estate. And he said, don't be so ridiculous. You're going to get scammed. Right? And that's when I realized that, okay, you shouldn't really tell people what you do. Let your results do all the speaking. But anyway, I negotiated. I said, look, I tell you what, you got nothing to risk. You give me the money and then no. I said, you're going to make an investment in me. You're going to invest £350 in me. I'm going to pay for this course. And the first 2 deals that I buy, you're going to get 50% of them. That was the worst negotiation I ever made.
Yeah, because and you did.
Of course, yeah, I fulfilled on it. Of course,
he's got £30,000 from a £300 investment. Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
but this is what people understand. It's like they're too scared to ask for money, because in the past they asked for money, borrowed from a friend. This is a different proposition.
I remember it was going back in the mid to late 90s. Am I right? Am I right? Got the time scale right?
2003.
Oh, so it was in 21st century. Okay, I'm older than you. So what happened was the first property I got into, I got it for £12,000, studio apartment. Within 6 months, sold it for 20.
Right.
But here's the thing: I didn't think about having 10 of them.
Right.
I was thinking buying one, selling one,
Right.
buying one, selling one. But I could have bought 10 at the same time.
Of course. And then
is
10
that
would
what you did?
Yeah, because they could appreciate at the same time.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you wait 10 years, the property's already doubled and you've been priced out of the market.
Exactly.
So I had to figure out a way to buy property and then take the money out and put it back in again. So it's what we call deposit recycling.
Okay.
So in the early days, there was a financing feature, which is, of course, it's a little bit harder. You can still kind of do it, but there's different ways you have to be creative. So if you, let's say, I'll keep the figure simple. If property's worth 100,
Yes.
right? But the bank will give you 80% of what the property's worth.
Yes.
So if you buy it for 80,000 cash and you refinance it the next day, or I think now you have to wait a little bit longer now, 6 months, you refinance it at the full market value. So if it's gone up in value,
You got money now.
you get your money out. You got a house for free. And you know what I say this, like when my mentor told this to me, I was like,
You kept the house?
I kept most of them.
Wow.
Yeah, I sold a lot of them. The ones that would just see, when you do a portfolio, you want to buy a few, sell a few to get cash. So you get cash.
Keep a few.
Right? And you have to keep a few because you want cash and cash flow at the same time. You can't just have one or the other.
Okay.
You got to mix the strategy up. But that's why a lot of people are equity rich, cash poor.
Exactly.
They have a lot of money in their house, but they can't even afford to buy Starbucks.